Hey guys, welcome back to another custom Hearthstone concepts, where we're doing things a little bit differently today, so I'm going to go ahead and address that and then we'll get right into the video. So for the most part with these videos, I do end up writing a full script for just everything about the video, everything from this intro to the outro to everything I say about the cards. The problem is I'm pretty awful at writing the scripts and at reading off of them, and it ends up taking up a lot of time, and I don't know how much help it actually is to the video. So for today, I'm just gonna pull up the cards and look at them with you guys, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. If you happen to notice an actual difference between like this and any of the recent ones, which I'm sure you will, I'm talking a lot more casually in this one. But if you notice that difference a lot, and if it's bugging you or if you like it, let me know. But mostly I'm doing this because A, it's just easier on me, and B, it gives me more time to focus on making more cards and making a lot of balanced choices on the cards and actually making them really good cards as well. So, hopefully you guys enjoy the video. Let's start talking about that. So for today's video, we have a new keyword that I've created, and as you should be able to see on screen here, that is Solitude, which is an effect that, and I think it is worth stressing here, activates at the end of your turn if that was the only card that you played. So any Solitude card, when you play it, at the end of that next turn, or like at the end of that current turn, sorry, it just runs a check and makes sure that that was the only card that you played, and if it was, it activates an additional effect. So some of these are going to be kind of like you want to play them alone, some of them are flexible, and some of them are kind of honestly like combo cards where if you don't play them with something else, they become weaker. So with all that being said and understood, let's get into the cards and see what we got. Ready? To kick things off, we're going to start off with all of three of the neutral minions that I made, starting with the rare minion Cold Light Scout, which is a 3-mana 1/2 Murloc with both stealth and poisonous. However, if you play it and activate its Solitude effect, if that was the only card that you played that turn, it loses stealth and poisonous and draws you 2 Murlocs. So this is one of those ones that is more focused on flexibility, and balance-wise, I honestly am pretty happy with how this one turned out. I mean, it does have a bit of, power creep in the fact that it can do a number of things. However, compared to Giant Wasp, it has that one less attack, and Murloc overall is, I think, a worse tag than Beast. I don't know, someone would have to confirm that for me. And then, when you look at its Solitude effect, it essentially becomes a 1-mana 1/2, which is really bad stats, with a Ice Fishing attached. So, balance-wise, I think that's pretty reasonable. The other part of this that I like, though, is the fact that the Solitude effect happens very naturally. So, either in an aggro deck, you obviously want to use the Solitude effect 9 times out of 10. If there's a taunt minion, maybe you do want to try and use this thing's poisonous minion, or poisonous effect, excuse me. Or if, just in general, your opponent's been playing a lot of taunt minions, maybe. But I think 9 times out of 10, if you're playing a full Murloc deck, what you're going to want to do is either play this on turn 3, or play this when you're entering top deck mode, when you've got, like, absolutely nothing else to play. You drop this just on its own, and then you start the next turn with a couple of extra cards. But that also kind of reveals the weaker side of things, because, let's say you're at turn 5, and you have this and another 2 2-mana Murlocs in your hand, and you really need that card draw, you need more options, but at the same time, that's all you can do that turn. You can play this for 3 mana and you can hero power, which is way worse than playing this and playing, I don't know, a Rock Pool Hunter or something. So that kind of starts to reveal and show the weakness of Solitude effects, but we'll get more into that with some other cards, so let's go ahead and move on. And where are we going to move on? Well, we're going to move on to the 5-mana, 5/6 Ogre Arcanomancer, a neutral common, which has Taunt, can't be targeted by spells or hero powers, which is kind of crazy for a 5-mana minion with vanilla stats, but it also has Solitude to silence this minion, so this is one of the ones that kind of acts as like a combo minion. So obviously if you just play this on its own on turn 5, it's just a 5 mana 5/6. It's just a vanilla statted 5 mana 5/6. And before anyone calls out creeping on Pit Fighter, I believe it's called, I mean, yeah, but also no one really played that card, so I think it's kind of fair, and yeah, I think it's kind of fair. The only real thing that I'm concerned about with this card is the idea of like coining or innervating it out against like an aggro deck. But realistically, when you're playing an aggro deck, what matters about taunt minions more than anything is how much health they have, and this is only one more than Tar Creeper. So it feels like a bit too much effort for anti-aggro tech, and it probably wouldn't be that big of a deal. Overall, all this really comes down to is a really, really good 5 mana taunt minion that you can't actually play on turn 5, which I think is a very interesting concept and definitely something I'd be interested to see get into the game. But at any rate, that's really all there is to say there, so let's go ahead and move on to the last of the neutral cards. And this one I went a little bit all out here. I didn't balance check this with as many people, so hopefully it's not too crazy. I think it's pretty balanced, but we'll see what you guys think. The 7 mana 5/9 Burning Blade Veteran, which has Taunt, and in addition to that, it has Solitude, gain Wind Fury, and Stealth, deal 5 damage to himself. So essentially it becomes a 7 mana 5/4 with Wind Fury and Stealth, and technically Taunt as well, but I mean that goes away when he has Stealth. It's not active, so I don't know, it's an interesting one. Again, this is one that's kind of themed around being flexible and just having the multiple options there. But at the same time, I think the Solitude effect is overall just generally better. One thing that I think would be worth noting is that, based off of my small amount of understanding for Arena, this card would be pretty crazy there. I mean, you drop that on turn 7, and if your opponent can't deal with it, that's just 10 damage next turn, which is pretty insane. But overall, honestly, I think it's relatively balanced, and yeah, I don't know. This is one that I'm a lot more unsure about, though, in case you couldn't tell, so definitely if you think it's broken or if you think there's something crazy there, let me know. I'd be interested to discuss it, but yes. Moving on, we have 4 cards left, and all of those are going to be class cards. And we're going to start with the spells. First of all, we have Jury-Rigged Plan. And this is the Hunter spell for 2 mana. And it puts a random Hunter secret into play, just in general. However, if you cast it alone, it destroys that secret that you created, draws you a card, and equips a 2/1 stick. Now this is another flexible one, but I honestly like this one a lot because there's a lot of different sides to it. So let's just say that you play this on turn 3 with a 1 mana minion in your hand. You get something like Misdirection and you go, I don't really need that, so you play your 1 mana minion, and instead, starting next turn, you have an extra card and you have a 2/1 weapon, because you don't really get that because this happens at the end of your turn. However, on the other hand, if you get something like a Wandering Monster, that's a bit better and you might want to keep it. So I think what's interesting about that is A, that, you know, that Solitude effect is pretty good between the draw a card, equip a 2/1 stick, but you don't get it until the next turn. But I also think it's interesting because of the variety with the secrets. Now obviously if this were to enter the game, no one would think about it that much if they were playing this card. If you were running it in like Spell Hunter or something, which I could definitely see, you'd just play it whenever you had it and whenever you want to. You'd go, well, I want a secret here, and you'd drop it and then play something else, or you'd go, I need more card draw, and you'd play it and then play it. You get the idea. But it's still an interesting concept, and I definitely appreciate being able to find and use that artwork for it. So the next one we have, I didn't really balance check this one with anyone, and that's true for the other 9 mana card that's going to be coming up. So this one might be kind of crazy, but at the same time, it's a very fun concept. So I want to show it off in the video, even if it is broken. So for 9 mana, we have the Warlock spell, Demanding Ritual, which reads, recruit 5 demons. So it pulls 5 demons straight from your deck onto the battlefield. And then has Solitude, destroy all friendly demons. So effectively, you can pull, this massive army onto your board, and you just have them there. But then at the end of your turn, unless you play a 1 mana or, heck, a 0 mana card, you destroy all of them. Now, I think what was interesting in looking into this is you think, Warlock, they have plenty of 1 mana cards. Well, they do and they don't. Because the problem there is several of their good 1 mana cards, including Flame Imp and Voidwalker, are also demons, which you wouldn't want to run in a deck using Demanding Ritual for obvious reasons. And when you also look at something like Kobold Librarian, well, you wouldn't really want to play that in the super far late game, since you really don't want to be damaging yourself a ton. That being said, there are also, Mortal Coil could be a fair option there, especially since you can summon the demons and then hit something with Mortal Coil, even if your opponent doesn't have any minions, or something like Sacrificial Pact, just destroy one of the demons instead of destroying all of them and recover some health. Now, I really did sit and think about theory crafting with this one, and in the end, I think the ideal pull, the ideal deck that you'd have is you'd have 2 Doom Guards, you have 2 Void Lords, and you'd have Mal'Ganis, in a wild deck, or, I don't know, like, you could have 2 Despicable Dreadlords or something. But the biggest thing is, when you're using something like this, you don't want to have too many cheaper demons in your deck, and also because this is 9 mana and you need to play something else, there's also the side of things that you have to build your deck a specific way, but you also don't want to draw any of those cards. That being said, there's also the side of this where someone on turn 2 plays Blood Bloom into Demanding Ritual and wins the game then and there. So I don't know. There's a lot of different sides of it, there's a lot of different things to think about, but overall it's an interesting proof of concept, to say the least, and I would be interested to see something like this for Warlock, this idea of, a spell that, you're summoning these powerful demons, but it has the chance to just go completely wrong. But yeah, alright, we have 2 left, and that is entering the territory of class minions. And for this next one, we have the 4 mana 2/1 rogue minion, Efficient Looter, which I will just say before reading off the rest of it, ideally the artwork for this card would be the same gnome from Loot Hoarder, but just with a much bigger bag. So Efficient Looter has the Battle Cry, discover a card from your opponent's class, and the Solitude effect, keep all 3 cards. And I think this one is reasonable to understand, but I do want to clarify, because I know someone will inevitably ask this. The Solitude effect doesn't give you a copy of all 3, however, the Battle Cry, you discover 1, and then if you don't play anything else that turn, the Solitude effect gives you the 2 other options at the end of your turn, so that you have all 3. The only reason that it's worded that way, same with the last card here, as you'll see, is just to make sure that everything fits comfortably on the card there. So this is one where I think it's pretty obvious that playing it on its own is ideal, is better for it. The only problem with that is that it is kind of awful tempo. It's a 4 mana 2/1, and if you're playing that on your own, on its own, well, it's not going to be great. Now, of course, the counterpoint to that is that Rogue has always been very combo heavy and very based on combining different cards and working with a handful of them. So, you play this on turn 4, and that's just, it's fine. It's a small body, which doesn't matter, and it generates 3 cards to your hand, but on the same token, I don't really think it's broken because of that. So I think the ideal situation where this design shines as interesting would be again, when you're kind of in top deck mode. Because let's say you're at 10 mana and you draw this, and this is like one of the only things in your hand. Then you play it and you discover 3 cards, and 2 of them are both perfect answers, and the other one is just a good card to have. And in that situation, you have to decide if you take the one and you play it immediately, if you just have to play something that turn, or you look at the board and you go, I'm technically not dead on board, I think I can survive a bit, and you wait it out. So I think that side of this card would be very interesting. But again, to go back to what I was saying with Jury-Rigged Plan, 90% of Hearthstone players won't think that far, and that situation won't come up. If a card like this were printed, almost every situation with it would just be it being played on turn 4 or 5 with the Solitude effect. So overall, though, I think it's an interesting proof of concept, an interesting idea, and we will see what this last card holds for us and how very different it is. And usually when I'm making a big new effect like this, I try to see what it would look like on a legendary card, and so I definitely did that here. We will see what people think of this legendary. So what we have is the 9 mana mage legendary Caligos, the Spellweaver, or Caligos. He is a dragon, and he has 6 attack and 8 health, and the text, at the end of your turn, cast Primordial Glyph twice, which I know it's not specifically listed, but it would be randomly chosen because that's how any effect like that coming from a minion has functioned in the past. So effectively it would give you 2 random mage spells that cost, I believe, 3 less, or 2 less for Primordial Glyph, sorry. And then the Solitude effect reads, instead, gain spell damage plus 3, and again, to clarify, that is not a temporary thing. If you only play this minion, then every turn at the end of your turn, he will gain spell damage plus 3, and you will not get the primordial glyphs. So he's either, this big dragon that gets more and more spell damage and gets, more and more dangerous, effectively, or the longer he's on the board, he generates more and more spells for you, both of which I think are very interesting concepts for a big giant dragon. The other side of it is, in my personal opinion at least, the primordial glyph is definitely the better option there 9 times out of 10, and that's again done on purpose. It kind of goes back to the idea of the demanding ritual where we had earlier, where you have to have some sort of 1 mana card in there to go along with Caligos in order to ensure that you don't get the worst option, that you get the one that you want. That being said, though, obviously there could be some sort of deck that uses that spell damage plus 3. However, with how spell damage functions in the current Hearthstone meta, I don't see why you just wouldn't run Malygos instead, I guess is where it comes down to. So overall, though, this is one that, again, I didn't really talk to a ton of people about, but I would be interested to talk to you guys about it, so definitely let me know if you think this would be a good card or a card that you would try to build a deck with. Honestly, I would, just for the Primordial Glyph text, I would definitely run this card in some sort of deck and just see what I could do with it. But let me know what you guys think. Thank you for watching. I know this is probably a bit of a longer one since we had a lot more cards to go over, and again, definitely let me know what you guys thought about the scripting side of things, if you guys thought this video was okay, or if you really want me to go back to scripting if this was really bad. My plan is, regardless of answers, to do at least another one without a script, just to see if I kind of catch myself and get better there. But still, let me know so that I can get that first initial thought process of people and see where we want to go with things. The only other thing that I really need to mention is that there will be a Discord link in the description of this video to my public Discord, and the reason I'm mentioning that is next week I'm planning on posting an Honest Hearthstone Cards video that is entirely community driven. So if you guys want to help out with that, if you guys want to give me cards for that video, go ahead and check the Discord link, and for those of you that know that I've been doing this in the comment section, if you're asking why I'm doing it on Discord now, I'm actually offering a special Discord title to anyone that gives me a card that I'll use in the video. So definitely check that out if you are interested, if you spend any time at all on Discord, and if you want to help out with that upcoming video. Other than that, thank you guys so very much for watching. It's been a blast, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Toodles.